I always have my hair up because this hair is so heavy. And if I sound a bit congested, it's because I am. I'm getting over what was trying to be a cold.
R&B late dog, I had to regulate.
It's your boy Eazi. Yeah.
Welcome to my channel. My name is Tochi. If you are new, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you. And if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back. I do not know what I'm doing with my hands. Okay. So today I got an anonymous question that I'm going to be answering that's going to focus on gender identity and the magazine A Nasty Boy. Keep watching. Hey Tochi, I love your videos and you have such a great camera personality. Plus, your music choices are great. Thank you so much. In part 1 of African Parents Caring Too Much About What People Think, you and Neka briefly touched upon gender identity with the story of the girl from NYSC, and I wanted to ask about your opinion on gender identity in Nigeria, or any experiences you know of where people were called out because of their gender identity and what they did. I also wanted to know if you've heard of or read the magazine A Nasty Boy and what your thoughts on it were too. Thank you for allowing me to be anonymous. No problem at all. Thank you so much for your email. I feel like there are so many different ways I could answer this, and I'm going to try and stick solely to gender identity, gender expression and such, and not delve into sexuality, even though I feel like they're very much so tied. Talking about sexuality in Nigeria, completely different video. So I'm going to really try and just focus on gender identity and gender expression and gender fluidity and all of that. I want this to be informative, but I don't want it to be me throwing information at you. So I'm gonna, try and give some definitions and such, but I also want to give my opinion and answer the question. I'll put some links below if you want to educate yourself on, what we're discussing. But yeah, right, so before we get into my opinion on gender identity, I just want to give a brief information lesson on the dimensions of gender and gender identity. Gender is a complex interrelationship between our body, our gender identity, and our gender expression. People think, I feel like it's believed that gender starts and ends at what we're assigned with at birth. But it doesn't actually end there. Our body, it's how we experience our body, how others gender our bodies, how others interact with us based on our bodies. When it comes to gender identity, that's how we identify. It's one's personal concept of self and whether they identify as male or female or other, or however you choose to identify. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's the same as the gender that was assigned to them at birth. Gender expression is how one expresses their gender externally, whether that be through their behavior, through their clothing, hairstyle, voice. There are so many ways in which people can express their gender or choose to express their gender, and it may or may not conform to the status quo of the society or the community that you're in. Gender expression is also heavily tied to gender roles and the ways in which the community you're surrounded by or the environment you're in enforces those gender roles to conform to the status quo. So like, women wear skirts, men wear trousers. That could apply in America, but then you also have kilts worn in Scotland, So it depends on where you are. Gender norms, gender roles, and all of that. Gender is basically socially constructed roles and behaviors that society ties to men and women. But I think it's key that you remember that they are social constructs. Gender is a social construct. And of course, everything I've mentioned, they can vary. It's a non-linear situation. There are various degrees of what I'm talking about. There's no this and that. It's a spectrum of... It's just a spectrum, basically. It's also important to remember that gender diversity has existed throughout history. Throughout history. I mean, we can talk about gender transformation in ancient Egypt. We can talk about the term two spirits in the indigenous North American communities, where they have 5 genders. When it comes to gender and gender identity, gender expression, gender fluidity, we can talk about so much. But I just wanted to give you that basic breakdown so that when I'm mentioning these terms, or if I mention them, you're not like, what is she talking about?
We always knew we made it.
Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide.
Okay, so my opinion on gender identity in Nigeria. I think that gender identity is how one chooses to express themselves as male or female, or however they choose to identify. I do not think Nigeria, as a country, I don't think us as a people, as a community, I don't think we respect how people choose to identify themselves at all. Not even just when it comes to gender, just in general, I think we like to tell people how they should be. A decision, I feel like, just that sits outside of the status quo or the norm is questioned by people who are generally most of the time older than you and feel like they have authority over the decisions you've made, even if you just met them and you have no ties to them and don't warrant any kind of explanation to them whatsoever. They will still find a way to try and dictate how you should move based on what they feel is right because of the social constructs that have been instilled into us, unfortunately. So to answer that part of the question, I do not feel like Nigeria respects the ways in which people choose to express themselves, whether that be their gender identity or anything, really, any kind of expression. I think we're definitely making progress in different ways, but we have leaps to go. I'm trying not to veer off and start having a discussion about something else because I'm trying to stick to what we need to focus on today, but there are so many topics that need to be discussed and I think that they all deserve the right amount of attention. So if I mention something and I don't dive into it, it's not because I don't want to, it's just because I want to make sure that we stay focused on what we are trying to focus on today.
Yeah.
Even when it comes to mannerisms that people have, like if a man is acting effeminate in any way, it's like, why is he acting like a woman? Or if a woman is acting at any type of masculine, why is she acting like a man? Or even if you're a woman that dances like a man, or if you're a man that walks like a woman, like what does that even mean? Being that gender is a social construct, like what does acting like a woman or acting like a man even mean? Like what, honestly, what does that mean? Social constructs are so incredible to me because they're social constructs, they've been instilled into us and we like to believe them and take them as gospel, but it's like, why? When life is such a gray area, it's such a mirage, like it's such a spectrum and we try and make everything so black and white, and life isn't black and white. Life is literally like a playground of colors. So why we try to, I don't know, define things and put things in boxes, like when little boys wear their mom's heels are fun, they're fun to be in. I mean, if they fit and they're comfortable, they're fun to be in. Like regardless of whether you're a boy or a girl, however you identify, they're fun. So when parents beat their sons when they're wearing heels, it just breaks my heart because what is he doing wrong? Really, honestly and truly, what is the problem? What's the problem? How someone expressing themselves is such an issue. I don't know what the issue is.
No stress, don't smoke sex, less.
I think I've answered every part of that question. A nasty boy. Let's talk about a nasty boy. So, for those of you that don't know what a nasty boy is, it's an online publication that explores otherness in Nigeria. It's breaking boundaries, it's breaking gender norms, it's embracing gender fluidity, breaking gender constructs, challenging social expectations around gender norms. When I read the description for it, the first thing I thought was, God said let there be light, and a nasty boy made it lit. I love it. I love the whole idea behind it. I love the concept. I love that it's even a thing. I love that it exists. I almost wish it was a physical thing so that I could like buy the physical copy and like keep it. I almost feel like history is being made with this, and I wish there was a way for me to physically like keep it so that in like I don't know how many years, when hopefully Nigeria has progressed past what it is now, at least I'll be able to say like this was the beginning of an era where we decided as a people to unlearn all of these things that have been instilled into us, and just a nasty boy. You know what? Let me look up the name of the person who started it. Richard Akuson, I think. Richard Akuson. Thank you. We needed this. We need this. Thank you. I'm so grateful that, you know, you've created this platform. It's incredible. And, you know, if you ever want to release physical copies, I will buy the first one, because apart from me wanting to support everything Nigerian and everything in Nigeria and all of that, I really feel like history is being made here. I don't know how long this video is going to be. I think it's going to be pretty short, but yeah, I'm so glad that we got to touch onto this topic. I really like to know what other people are thinking about the things that I'm talking about. You know, start a conversation, discussion. That's essentially like, other than creating a safe space for these discussions to be had, I really think that continuing these discussions is important. So yeah, comment below, slide into my DMs, email me, anything really. I'm always down to talk about things. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, share with everyone you know. If you haven't already, subscribe and put on the notifications so you know every time I put up a video. God willing, every Wednesday. See you later!